Now this video isn't going to go live until sometime after I shoot it, but I hope you folks appreciate I am in 3 layers and I am shooting this in the middle of summer. Under the lake. So yeah, another two-parter. There are a lot this series, which, I mean, I kind of admire. It's weird coming off of a series that previously had no two-parters except for the finale. It gives it this weird feel of experimental, but not like, ooh, let's try something different, but more like, oh, well, people were kind of torn on the last one. Let's do, like, nearly the opposite. I'm like, that doesn't seem like a decision driven by artistic intent, more by throw some more stuff at the wall. Anyways, the first half of a two-parter that I've always liked, but I have not revisited in a while, and certainly gets mentioned a lot whenever people in my comment section bring up underrated stories. Not that I think people bash it too much, but it doesn't get mentioned all that often. And judging by first half alone, folks might be onto something. I think it may be underrated in a similar way to how the Rebel Flesh and the Almost People is underrated, in that there's a lot more going on for it than people give it credit for. Not like absolute top tier, but like upper half of the middle at the bare minimum. Like worthy of good conversation to be had about it. So first off, this one, it got in my good graces right off the bat because it's clear immediately that it's a base under siege story. And I love base under siege stories. I don't know why. I just think it's a format that really suits Doctor Who. Always has. Base under siege was like the standard for the second Doctor back in the day. And it still plays well. Even now. I think so. It's a nice, clean setup. You lock the Doctor in a place. There's monsters in that place. Try and save the people who were in that place before the Doctor got there. Nice, simple, straightforward. Now, we've got the introduction of ghosts. Now, this is not the first time that modern era Doctor Who has given us fake ghosts. But I do feel like it leans into it a little bit more here. Because, like, we look at something like the Gelth from Series 1, or sort of the Siren was ghost-like. But there's something nice that it just goes whole hog on this one. Or also Hyde. There was ghostliness going on there. But I like that this just has these things with these big, hollow, dead eyes just wandering around. Yeah, that's unsettling. And that the rules are slightly different. That they can pick up and interact with metal things, which means they can grab weapons. Oh, crap. So that's a nice touch as far as that goes. We've got a nice cast for the folks in the base. A good group of interesting characters, and the least interesting one is the first one to get killed off. Well, second one to be killed off, because the captain gets killed in the cold open. Do captains ever survive these base under siege situations? I feel like whoever is in charge never makes it. The only time I could think of, like, maybe the Impossible Plan of the Satan Pit, though to be fair, he was acting captain because the actual captain died before the story even started. I think being in command, just don't plan on making it to retirement age. Not if you're in a Doctor Who story. And aside from the very introduction of the ghosts and figuring out how they work, there's actually a genuinely well-built mystery here in terms of trying to figure out how these things work, what the rules are, and the planting of things like the letters and that one shot we get of the characters, where it's reflected in their eye. Enough attention is drawn to it that you're like, oh, okay, but not like super, see this? This is what's going on. I feel like it's well balanced there, and you find yourself catching things like the fact that one of the crew members has not been inside, and that'll pay off a bit later, but it's just a well put together structure and series of reveals and things that we figure out as it goes along. It's pretty nicely put together, and there's some decent tension in it. There's also some interesting, and for me, some I don't know about that, things going on with the Doctor and Clara specifically. So starting with Clara, at the very beginning of the episode, she is very excited about being in danger, which is a little bit different from how the companions often behave. We've seen before where the companions get very excited about what they might encounter. And when they encounter something that looks like, ooh, that's unusual, maybe it's dangerous, they get a little excited. But I don't recall them being flat out excited by the idea of being in danger, which Clara seems to have at the opening of this. And I feel like that's kind of important, especially given where things are going to go with her a bit later on. In addition to that, the Doctor's starting to recognize that she's, for lack of a better term, trying to be like him. And he's telling her flat out, don't do that. And of course, that's going to pay off very directly couple episodes down the line. So I'm finding myself feeling a bit intrigued and odd about where I know things are going, because I hate Hellbent. I hate it. But I'm realizing that at least part of the groundwork is fairly decently laid out. I'll probably explain this a bit better later on. I feel like it was laid out for something that this series does, and then it keeps going and it overshoots. But it is laying the groundwork for this level that Clara's taking things to, of her getting too into the danger, of her trying to approach things like the Doctor, and knowing what that's going to cause to happen in Face the Raven. The groundwork is legitimately being laid. It's not being pulled from its butt. Now, the whole hybrid thing is still really pulled from the show's butt, but we will tackle that eventually when we get to it. There is one moment with the Doctor, though, that throws me off, and that's the thing with the cards. I get what it's doing, but it's ham-fisted. Like, there's already enough things to establish him as being a little bit awkward around these people that we don't need something to hammer the point home like that. Like, honestly, just him going back and forth with his, they're not ghosts, they're not ghosts, they're ghosts, and getting all excited about that, and just people looking at him like, what? We established that he is not communicating well with basically anyone who isn't Clara. The cards just are making the same point that was already being made organically by the story. I don't like them. It's not that I dislike the point they're making, it's that it's a clunky way to make a point that was already being made. So, no, don't do that. The Doctor does have some other really good moments, though. And again, nicely contradictory moments. You know, little moments when he's trying to figure out what's going on. It's impossible. I hate it. It's evil. It's astonishing. I want to kiss it to death. Like, I love that moment. That's a terrific moment. Now, the whole thing with the teaser at the end, I have mixed feelings about. It's okay. I remember some people bringing this up as like, why didn't I put this on my greatest cliffhangers thing? Is because I don't feel that it's a good cliffhanger. The whole thing of seeing the Doctor as a ghost, I think it's a very good tease for the next. It's a good hook in. I don't think it works well as a cliffhanger, though, because you don't need to know what happens to know, well, he's not actually going to die. So for me, there's no tension. There's no threat in that. And if there's no tension, then it's not a proper cliffhanger. It's still a good note to end on. It's a solid tease. I just don't think it has a ton of value as an actual cliffhanger. So, you know, it's fine. I actually kind of feel like I don't have that much more to say with this one. Unlike, say, Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar, which had a lot more packed into each half that, you know, I could devote time to, this really is just half of a story. And I have to see the other half to have more thoughts to say about it. But it is a good, solid, well put together, intriguing, tense, base under siege first half of a two-parter. It's solid. The complications work. The introduction of the day-night cycle, which is then something that can be thrown off to make them in danger when they thought they were safe. It's nicely constructed in terms of the complications and everything going on. They find a nice organic way to split the party, and so Clara is stuck on the base with these two other people while the Doctor goes back in time to try and figure out what's going on and try to stop it. So it builds the situation well, leads us into our next story, and guess I got nothing left to say except let's get to the next one. Under the Lake. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Usual stuff to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, bell, Patreon. of course, that is what is currently keeping these lights that I am melting under on right now. So any assistance you can lend there is greatly appreciated, but you also don't have to, because at the end of the day, you are the council and I just run the meetings. So until next time, this council is adjourned.